Hello there, my name's Dane Lemaitre, and welcome to the review. I'm sure you'll agree this is a very special review, as it is on the Flying Scotsman, but not just the ordinary Flying Scotsman, it is the Flying Scotsman from the Thomas the Tank Engine range, which is basically the Flying Scotsman, but with a face added onto it. It actually looks like Gordon's face. The Flying Scotsman was in the television series of Thomas the Tank Engine in the model era, back in the 1990s. Though only its tenders and part of its camper scene. Very recently there's been a special called The Great Race that's come out, and it's got engines from all over the world, and representing the United Kingdom is the Flying Scotsman. And in The Great Race it had two tenders. For some reason the Hornby model doesn't have two tenders. Some models have, but not the Thomas the Tank Engine ones. So it's a bit strange that, but nevertheless, I think it's still a really good model. And I'm sure you'll agree by looking at this, it runs really well indeed. The packaging for this model is also really good, and on the back it shows you all the different ones you can get, which I have, and it also comes with a clear set of instructions that show you what to do, obviously if you don't know what you're doing, so that's a real plus. Obviously considering it's second hand, it's good that it still comes with the instructions. I'm actually quite lucky as well, because the Flying Scotsman is coming through Wellingborough on the 4th of June, so hopefully I'm going to get some footage of it from the footbridge that I've seen some of the other locomotives come through before. Those videos are on my channel. So I think with the Flying Scotsman in Thomas Tank Engine, I think the tenders look quite detailed in the model series. It's a shame they didn't complete a full model. I mean, they managed to do one of the City of Truro, but they didn't manage to do one for the Flying Scotsman for some reason. I think it was down to the budget, so that was a bit of a shame. The Flying Scotsman was also in the Railway series, and as I said, going back to the livery, it was more of an apple green livery. So I think the one on the Hornby model could be a bit better, but nevertheless, I think it's still a good model. I've also been very lucky when I was 16 years old to see the Flying Scotsman at the National Railway Museum. And very recently I also got one in the Ertl range, still in the box. And I'm keeping this one in the box along with all my other Ertls, and I've picked up a few more recently that were quite hard to get. So here you can have a proper closer look at the model. And I'm sure you'll agree it is very hard to fault indeed. It's actually powered by the tender. The tender looks exactly the same as Spencer's. But they both are LNER locomotives, which stands for London and North Eastern Railway. So that describes why the tender looks exactly the same. Obviously it's a different livery. And here's the front part of the model. And I'm sure you'll agree it looks very much like Gordon. However, the face isn't exactly the same as Gordon's, because the eyebrows are a lot bigger, and so are the eyes are a lot smaller. So the face isn't exactly the same as Gordon's, but it does still look very similar to Gordon's, particularly in the TV series. My only real criticism with the model would be the type of green, because going back to the Railway series, it was more of an apple green. This one is a dark green though, so I think the colour of green could have been a bit better. Another thing I like as well is that on the front part of the buffers there, you've got his number, like the real Flying Scotsman, and the buffers, if you look, also sprung type buffers, so they go in and out, in and out. And it's got obviously the name there and the number there. So the detail on it's absolutely superb, and overall I do find really hard to fault indeed. And if you look underneath the model, like some of the other engines, like Spencer and Murdoch in the Hornby range, it doesn't say underneath the year that it was made, which is a bit of a shame. And like I said, I'd have liked it if it was loco driven instead of driven by the tender, but nevertheless, it's still a really good model. Like I said, the detailing is absolutely superb, and if I had to give this model a score, I'd happily give it a 10 out of 10. And it's quite a miracle that I actually managed to get this, because it is a discontinued one. Unlike Oliver, a really hard one to get indeed. And I did pay just over £100 for it, which I know sounds quite expensive, but I've seen people try and sell them for a lot more on eBay. So to get it for that price is really good indeed. And again, looking at the tender, it's really good indeed. It's got good detail all the way around and inside. The tender is quite heavy, obviously having the power. You can see the powered wheels are both here and here, and these ones are just loose ones, like bogey wheels. You can see that it's got traction tyres there. So that is the Flying Scotsman. Thank you very much for watching this review, and goodbye.